faces from every nation. I wanna find a place that's for conversation, where they discuss all the latest movies, or when something big happens in the news. See, that's us, what are we talking about? So what are we talking about today? Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the What Are We Talking About podcast. My name is Cody McLean. Welcome. Thanks for joining me. Oh, there's some construction going on. So, yeah, let's just jump right into it. There's a few stories I want to talk about. First, I just gotta say, there's some new evidence pertaining to Michael Jackson's alleged pedophilia that basically pretty much prove that, yeah, he was fucking a monster. And it sucks because he was an incredible artist, but you can't, just because somebody made great music doesn't mean you can forgive something like that. I mean, it's tragic that, the real tragedy is that he lied about it and he denied it happening. He could have gotten help. I think that it's a mental illness. And if it gets found out, people could actually receive help and it wouldn't be an issue. Well, I mean, it's still an issue, but people could get help. He couldn't get help because he fucking lied about it. He got caught, and instead of continuing and fucking basically, instead of telling the truth and he lied to keep his reputation good, but what it did was allow him, like, that's the thing. I don't know if pedophiles don't know that they're horrible people, but it's just such a fucking thing. I don't know. It just makes me, I'm so divided as to what you do. When I hear somebody fucking raped a kid, to me it's just like, string them up, fucking burn them at the loins. Those motherfuckers don't deserve to be treated as humans. But also, there's no way they're mentally stable. It's clearly they must have some sort of mental illness. That's not normal. It's not normal. So they need help. They need, like, that's the thing. I don't know what the right thing to do is. I don't know. What do you guys think the right thing to do is? Do you think that you can forgive Michael Jackson to the point where you'll listen to his music and not be disgusted with who he was? Or is that it now? You can never listen to another Michael Jackson song without thinking of this. I'm really curious to know, what do you think we should, do you think that pedophiles, child rapists deserve to be treated and tried to become healed and no longer be a pedophile? If there is a possibility of them becoming rehabilitated, do you think they should get that chance, or do you think this crime is so far that they don't deserve a chance at all? They just should be executed or whatever. I want to know what you guys think about this subject. I really don't know what to say. But sorry for starting on such a low note. The rest of the episode, I promise, will be a lot more entertaining and not as horrifying of a subject. First and foremost, switching it right around, sort of, Finding Dory. So that's kind of a weird segue, but yeah, Finding Dory kicked ass on some box office shit. The motherfuckers, they broke records. Like, who would have thought Finding Dory was gonna not only be as good as it was? You can check out my review, last week's podcast, I guess, or last episode, because I'm doing this one, and then I have to do one for next week, and will have been a year of podcasts. So next week I'm gonna try and do something special. But anyways, they broke Finding Dory breaks box office record. The number one opening weekend for a domestic animated film. The number one domestic opening for an animated film with $136.2 million. Now, That's a lot of money. Like, that's the type of money that most fucking superhero movies are hoping to make and shit like that opening weekend. That's even more than most superhero movies make, right? That's a lot of fucking money, and I don't know whether they deserve to have the highest animated opening of all time, but I can see why. Finding Nemo was such an incredible movie. Finding Dory is a really good movie, and I'm fine with it, actually. I'm fine with them having this record. It's cool. It's a really cool thing that happened, and I wonder how the rest of the run for Finding Dory in theaters is going to go. And I'm not sure how it has done internationally, but that's just the domestic number of the opening weekend only, so it's pretty good. What do you guys think? Have you seen Finding Dory? Let me know in the comments your thoughts on the movie, and also, do you think it deserved to make that much money? If you've seen it, or if you haven't seen it, go ahead, but let me know whether you have or haven't seen it, and then tell me your comments. Okay, the second thing. Okay, I have another kind of low topic that we can talk, that I want to talk about, that is not a cool thing. Basically, so I'm not exactly sure when it was. I was reading this article yesterday. Basically, there's a brother and sister who share bunk beds, and the 11-year-old brother thought he heard his sister having a nightmare, but instead she was, and this is a quote, living her worst nightmare as a strange man was in her bed at 4 o'clock in the morning, lights off, as he sexually assaulted her. Apparently this guy, like, she was 6 years old. He was 29 the man who assaulted her was 29 years old, broke into the house in the middle of the night and assaulted this girl. And here's the fucked up thing. I mean, that's all fucked up, yeah. Basically, the lawyer for the defendant said what their defense is, they're not disputing that he was in the apartment, that he broke into the apartment. So they basically pleaded guilty to B&E. But what they're saying is, they're disputing the claims of what transpired in the bed. And to me, I don't give a fuck what you claim happened in the bed. You were in a bed with a stranger's 6-year-old child that you broke into the house. You're fucked. You're fucked. I don't know what, these things make me so fucking upset, man. I can't even believe it. I have, like, young nieces and nephews and cousins. Well, not nieces and nephews, but similarly to nieces and nephews, my cousins that are my age that have children. I guess those would be first cousins once removed. It makes me fucking sick thinking of shit like this. And I don't know what to say. Again, I'm talking about something that I don't want this show to be about, but sometimes you see this horrible shit and you just gotta fucking talk about it. There needs to be this discussion because it needs to not happen. We need to somehow because the thing is, it's one thing to rape an adult. Yeah, it's still a horrible thing, but an adult can understand it was just like, it was a violent act, that it was either random or, like, an adult may not, like, it may still fuck him up, but a kid, like, now that kid is gonna grow up his whole life and just be fucked up, and now there's, like, better chance that that child will sexually assault someone because they were sexually assaulted themselves. It's a horrible, vicious circle, and I don't know what you can do to stop this from happening, but it needs to stop. This, again, I'm sorry for bringing this shit up, but fuck, man, it's unbelievable. But anyways, enough about rape. There's some news about marijuana, which I don't know, it's going to be legalized in Canada next spring, they say, so fingers crossed, right? basically, there's an article in Scientific American where the basically biannual poll by the Colorado Department of Public Health found that the amount of teenagers smoking marijuana has actually decreased since the legalization of marijuana. And I know a lot of people, I don't know, even like a lot of people would think that if weed is legal, teens are going to be more likely to drink weed. They're going to love drinking that weed. But anyways, they're going to be more likely to smoke weed. But it turns out that the opposite is actually true. And the reason why I think this is the case, and actually some statistics, it's down to, it's not like, oh, it dropped 55%. No, it dropped down to 21.2% from 22%. So it's less than 1%, but it's a drop. And it's actually become lower than the entire nationwide teen marijuana smoking rate of 21.7%. So overall, it's a drop, and it's lower than the rest of the country, or the average for the whole country. And my thinking, the reason why this would be, is because if weed is illegal, a drug dealer isn't gonna care about your age. They don't care if you're 16, they'll still sell you the weed. But if you have to go to, like, my guess is that if you have a choice between, if alcohol is illegal, that means you gotta buy it from fucking Joe Schmo down the block who brews his own shine or beer, whatever. But if it's legal, you have to go to a liquor store and present identification and show that you are of legal drinking age. I mean, there's some exceptions. People do get away with underage drinking. But it's the same with marijuana. If weed is legal, that means that it's still illegal to smoke it under the age of 18. So that means you have to prove that you're legally allowed to smoke it before smoking it. Whereas before, you just had to go to the drug dealer's house and pay money. So it does make sense that it would drop. And I think it's a good thing. I personally think, so the statistic says, I don't remember where I read this, but there's scientists generally agree that an adult, a human being, their brain isn't fully developed until at least 23 to 24 years old. And so some would argue you shouldn't ingest anything, drugs, alcohol, whatever, until after that point, so that it doesn't affect the development of your brain. But what my philosophy is that your brain is at least 80% done developing by age 18 or 19. And so the thing about weed as compared to, say, alcohol or meth is that if you smoke weed, it can change the way you think and that you perceive of the world. And I don't know whether or not that same effect would happen if you smoked it after your brain was fully developed. It might have to be done during developmental times. And I'm not saying 8-year-old kids should be smoking weed. No, I'm saying give yourself enough time so your brain's not quite fully developed so that it can help. Because, I don't know, maybe this is just my own personal opinion and you might disagree. I started smoking weed when I was 16. I probably should have waited a little bit more, but it's better than being 13 or 14, right? But the thing is, before I smoked weed, I used to be super religious. I was raised Christian, went to church every Sunday until hockey started interfering with that. And basically, I thought weed was just the devil's substance. That's what lots of religions teach. And the thing is, for me, what marijuana has allowed me to do is it opens up your mind to different possibilities. The thing that happens the most while I'm smoking weed is saying, that's really interesting. I don't know if it's true. Whereas I've never met a religious person where you read them something out of the Bible and they're like, oh, that's really interesting. I don't know if it's true. They claim they know that it's true 99% of the time, or at least 90% of the time. But what weed can help you do is see that the thing that you've seen, that you've believed as truth for so long, might not be true. There was a long time where I honestly believed there's no physical way that we could have evolved because DNA is so complex. It's like a puzzle. And if you drop a puzzle from the top of a flight of stairs, let it tumble all the way to the bottom of the flight of stairs, there's almost no chance that that puzzle will be completed when it reaches the bottom of the stairs. And that's the assumption that I went with, and it was the analogy I used to be under in terms of weed and weed. I'm back on weed. In terms of evolution with DNA, right? But when I was in college, my roommate, I literally said basically that exact thing to him, and what he said was, okay, so is space infinite? And as far as we can tell, space is infinite. And if there is infinite space in the universe, that means that there is an infinite number of chances for things to happen. Whether that be the conditions to create life on Earth, whatever it may be, there's an infinite number of chances for that to happen. And if you drop that puzzle down that flight of stairs an infinite number of times, one of those times, at least once, the puzzle will be completed when it reaches the bottom. Mathematically, that has to be the case. In fact, it would be more than once if you're dealing with infinity. It would be a significant amount. And with the amount of planets and space that there is in the known universe and even the unknown universe, that just changed my mind, and that makes me think, wow, not only are humans not special, but there should mathematically be plenty of other life forms. And now that brings to the point, how come we've never seen aliens? But the thing is, humans have been around for around 200,000 years. Technology as we know it, the Industrial Revolution only happened around 200 years ago. And internet has only been around for maybe 50 years. We literally only went to the moon, our own moon, the heavenly body that orbits our planet. We only just went there in 1969. That's less than 50 years ago. And so to think that, okay, it's not impossible for an alien species to go into space and to send transmissions, whether it be radio waves or whatever, into space, whether it be on purpose or accidentally. Species have that ability to evolve to that point. But the real question is, how do we know that the species won't destroy itself before reaching interstellar travel? Or, like, we don't know how difficult it is to travel to another star. And not only that, we don't know how long it's we've only been around for 200,000 years, and for only the last, 0.0001% of that time, we've been actually fucking space traveling and sending transmissions into space. So what are the chances that our civilization has reached that point around the same time that another civilization has reached that point, but not even around the same time? Close enough in time that, so say Alpha Centauri, which is, I believe, about 4 light years away, which means if you travel at the speed of light, it would take you 4 years. So a radio wave would travel there in 4 years. The signal probably wouldn't reach there because it would be weak by the time it got there. But anyways, That's beside the point. If you could send a strong enough signal, it would take 4 years. So that means within 4 years, they have to be within 4 years of technology kind of with us, or beyond, right? Like, they can't be too much behind us in technology, or we wouldn't even be able to detect them, and then we'd still have to wait 4 years for the messages to get to us. And so it's kind of, it makes sense as to why we wouldn't have seen anyone, even if there's anyone out there. And all of this ideas, I mean, I'm not saying there's no God. I don't know. That's the thing. That's what weed has helped me to see, is that we know nothing, Jon Snow. There's so much that we don't know that it's impossible to say that you know anything for sure. Really, you don't even know that this video that you're watching is real. I could be a figment of your goddamn imagination and you'd have no way of knowing. We just all agree that society is a real thing, because otherwise humanity wouldn't have evolved to this point. If every human that ever sprung up just thought, oh, all the entire universe is in my imagination, so I can just do whatever the fuck I want, those motherfuckers died out. And so, definitely, it's a big thing to know, to be able to accept not knowing something. And I think that's one of the biggest things that weed can help with. And like I said, I'm not saying you should be smoking weed at age 14 or even 16 like I started. I would say the legal smoking age of whether it be 18, 19, whatever, even 21 I could see, but it's cutting it a little close. I like I said, my philosophy is that you should smoke it once your brain is almost fully developed but still has a little bit of time to change and be more open. And I think that if everyone smoked some weed and was a little more open, that we'd be less like if you, like, I personally used to think that gay people were basically mentally retarded. I literally used to think that when I was younger, because that's what my religion said. And I was blind. I was literally blind, and weed opened up my eyes to show that everything you think isn't necessarily real. Why should you believe this book that was written 3,000 years ago by people who claim it's the Word of God, instead of listening to scientific evidence that has been presented by people who actually have fucking educations and degrees and have been studying this shit their whole lives? And you can check whether or not they're right. Like, you can literally do the test yourself to see if what they say is true. You can't do that with religion. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be religious. Well, my personal belief is that I think it's fine to be spiritual, and you can believe in God. I don't care. It doesn't affect. But if you allow your religion or your spirituality to block off, to prevent you from being a regular member of society, or to prevent you from, basically, if your religion says, well, evolution can't be real, so I'm just going to ignore that, well, then that doesn't make sense to me. Like, why? We know that it's real. We've seen it. It's proven. You can fucking see it in everyday life. And yet some people still think that it's a myth. And that's the thing that religion is compared to weed. I'm not saying that weed should be this awesome religion, but it opens up your eyes. It opens up your mind. That's all I'm trying to say. I've been ranting about weed for a while now, and that's not what I meant for this episode to be. But hey, it's a better subject than what we started off with. But yeah, that's the things I wanted to talk about today. So it's like I said, how it started out, interesting that the teen smoking rate of marijuana has gone down in Colorado. And not only that, since weed has been legalized, they've only generated about $5 billion worth of revenue. I honestly don't understand how every once in a while you'll still get some religious nut, or not even a religious nut, just somebody who for some old-fashioned thinker who thinks, you know what? Weed is just the worst thing ever. Let's say fuck them. Let's not make it legalized. I honestly think all drugs should be legal and regulated, because if it's not taboo to do it, then you're less likely to do it. There is people who literally, when you say don't touch that, they gotta touch it. So if you say, well, fucking crack's illegal, well, let's try it then. Why is it illegal? So if you made it so that it was illegal and just said, like cigarettes, yes, there's still people who start smoking in this day and age, which, again, I used to smoke, and it's a silly thing to start smoking, but it's a low percentage, because everyone knows smoking is bad for you. It's the same. If you were to say all drugs are legal and now regulated, and you had to go to a store to buy crack instead of just a drug dealer, I think things would be different. And I don't know, maybe I'm just ranting about ridiculous things, but I honestly think it wouldn't, like, yeah, it would also be revenue for the government, in that you could tax heroin instead of just people dying from it. You can get money from it. And yeah, if you're an adult and you want to ruin your life by doing drugs, you should have that right. It's a free country. So if alcohol is illegal and cigarettes are legal, I don't understand why marijuana or even any other drug would be illegal. It doesn't make sense to me. But anyways, I've been ranting about this for too long. I wanted to say thanks again for joining me. Sorry, I mean, I'm probably gonna, if I have some regular viewers, I might have lost some with this video, but that's fine, because these are my opinions, and I think everyone should be entitled to their opinion. And you can have a different opinion than me, and if you do have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it. Let me know in the comments section what you think about anything I've talked about today, or any other news subjects that are hitting right now, and maybe we'll be able to talk. I'll definitely reply to your comment, or possibly if I like the comment enough or the question enough, I'll talk about it on the show for sure. So let me know your thoughts in the comments section, and yeah, thanks for watching. And I just want to say, you can get a hold of, if you want, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat at Winter Trooper. You can follow the show at What We Talking. You could like us on Facebook. You could comment on SoundCloud or YouTube. You could subscribe if you're on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, all that fun stuff. And if you want to suggest topics for the show or anything like that, you could email us. The email will be down here. whatwetalkingabouttoday@gmail.com. So once again, thank you for joining me on this muggy, dark, blustery day. Until next time, never stop having an open mind. Glad to see you here on YouTube. Now you wonder what should I do. Staring at my faces from every nation. I wanna find a place that's for conversation. Where do they discuss all the latest movies, or when something big happens in the news? See, that's us. What are we talking about?